Story 1: The Enchanting Whisper. In the quiet town of Greenwood, nestled between dense forests and rolling hills, there was an ancient legend that sent shivers down the spines of its inhabitants: the legend of the Deer Woman. The story began with a young woman named Alara, who, under the cover of darkness, would transform into a creature with the body of a woman and the head of a deer. Legend had it that Alara was cursed by the forest spirits for a crime unknown to the townsfolk. Some believed she was punished for a forbidden love affair, while others thought it was her insatiable greed that led to the curse. The townspeople knew better than to venture into the woods after nightfall, for the Deer Woman was said to roam in search of lost souls. It was whispered that her enchanting voice would lure unsuspecting victims deep into the heart of the forest, where they would be lost forever. One fateful night, a curious and adventurous young man named Adrian decided to test the legend. Armed with nothing but a lantern and a camera, he ventured into the forbidden woods. The moon cast an eerie glow, and the trees seemed to whisper secrets that only the forest knew. As Adrian delved deeper into the darkness, he began to feel an inexplicable sense of dread. The air grew heavy, and an unnatural silence enveloped the surroundings. The only sound was the crunching of leaves beneath his boots. A soft, melodic voice echoed through the trees, calling his name. "Adrian," it whispered, sweet and seductive. The young man's heart raced, and beads of sweat formed on his forehead. Ignoring the warning signs, he followed the enchanting voice deeper into the shadows. The forest transformed around him, the trees contorting into grotesque shapes. The once familiar path now seemed like a labyrinth designed to confuse and trap him. The voice became more alluring, and a fleeting glimpse of a figure with a deer's head danced at the edge of his vision. Adrian stumbled upon an ancient, dilapidated mansion that seemed to materialize out of the mist. Intrigued and entranced, he cautiously approached the decaying structure. The voice grew more insistent, guiding him through the crumbling corridors and creaking staircases. As he ascended a grand staircase, the atmosphere became suffocating. Portraits of people long forgotten adorned the walls, their eyes following his every move. The voice led him to a chamber at the end of a dimly lit hallway, where he found a mirror reflecting the ghostly image of a woman with antlers on her head. Suddenly, the room echoed with a blood-curdling scream as the apparition in the mirror lunged towards him. Adrian stumbled backward, crashing into a table that sent ancient artifacts scattering across the floor. The Deer Woman's haunting laughter filled the air as the room seemed to come alive with malevolent energy. Desperation clawing at him, Adrian raced through the twisting corridors, desperately trying to find an escape. The mansion seemed to mock his attempts, leading him in circles until he was hopelessly lost. The haunting voice continued to call his name, now a sinister chant that reverberated through the walls. Hours turned into an eternity as Adrian, exhausted and terrified, stumbled upon a hidden chamber at the heart of the mansion. The room was adorned with eerie symbols and flickering candlelight. At its center stood a majestic stag, its eyes glowing with an otherworldly intelligence. The Deer Woman emerged from the shadows, her antlers gleaming in the dim light. Her eyes locked onto Adrian, and her voice took on a haunting melody. She spoke of ancient sins, forgotten desires, and the curse that bound her to the forest. Adrian, paralyzed with fear, listened as the Deer Woman revealed the tragic story of her past. As the tale unfolded, the mansion transformed into a living, breathing entity, absorbing the essence of Adrian's fear and despair. The walls pulsed with malevolent energy as the Deer Woman approached, her eyes filled with a mixture of longing and sorrow. In that moment, the boundaries between the living and the supernatural blurred. Adrian's fate became entwined with the Deer Woman's curse. The forest claimed him as one of its own, his essence merging with the ancient magic that permeated the woods. The legends of Greenwood grew darker, and the townspeople spoke of the cursed mansion that swallowed those who dared to seek the Deer Woman. No one knew the true fate of Adrian, but his name echoed through the haunted halls of the forgotten mansion, a cautionary tale for those who dared to defy the ancient curse. And so, the legend of the Deer Woman lived on, a haunting melody that lingered in the hearts of the townspeople, a reminder of the darkness that lurked within the depths of the forbidden forest. Story 2: the Vale of Twilight. In the heart of a secluded valley, surrounded by ancient forests and guarded by mist-covered hills, there lay a town named Eldermoor. The townspeople lived under the shadow of a centuries-old legend, the haunting tale of the Deer Woman. Eldermoor's history was shrouded in the eerie whispers of a creature that emerged from the depths of the woods, an ethereal being that left fear in its wake. The legend spoke of Isolde, a young woman with a heart entwined with the wild magic of the forest. Isolde was known for her mesmerizing beauty, but it was her connection to the mystical creatures of the woods that stirred fear in the hearts of the Eldermoor residents. Legends told of Isolde dancing under the moonlit canopy, surrounded by a legion of deer with eyes that glowed like will-o-wisps. One fateful evening, as twilight draped the town in an otherworldly glow, a curious artist named Gabriel arrived in Eldermoor. Drawn by whispers of the mysterious Deer Woman, he sought inspiration for his masterpiece. Ignoring the warnings of the locals, Gabriel ventured into the woods with his sketch pad and a lantern, the air thick with anticipation. The forest welcomed Gabriel with an enchanting symphony of rustling leaves and distant whispers. He felt the presence of unseen eyes observing his every move. Undeterred, Gabriel pressed on, his artistic fervor driving him deeper into the shadows. As he delved into the heart of the woods, the moon cast an ethereal light that painted the trees in silver hues. The air grew colder, and a haunting melody echoed through the trees, pulling Gabriel towards an unseen destination. Unearthly laughter mingled with the rustling leaves, creating an unsettling harmony that sent shivers down his spine. In a clearing bathed in the soft glow of moonlight, Gabriel beheld Isolde, the Deer Woman. Her eyes gleamed with an otherworldly wisdom and antlers adorned her raven-black hair. The deer gathered around her, their eyes reflecting the eerie luminescence of the forest. Isolde's voice, a haunting blend of sorrow and allure, beckoned Gabriel closer. Mesmerized by the enchanting sight before him, he felt an inexplicable connection to the Deer Woman. She spoke of an ancient curse that bound her to the forest, a curse born out of forbidden love and the betrayal of those she once trusted. As Isolde's tale unfolded, the boundaries between reality and the supernatural blurred. Gabriel became entangled in the threads of the Deer Woman's sorrowful history, his destiny interwoven with the haunting melodies of the forest. Isolde, trapped in a realm between the living and the ethereal, sought redemption through the souls of those who dared to cross her path. Compelled by an otherworldly force, Gabriel became a conduit for the Deer Woman's curse. His artistic endeavors took a dark turn as he painted scenes of despair and anguish, inspired by Isolde's tragic tale. The townspeople, sensing the impending darkness, grew wary of Gabriel, who seemed to be losing himself to the haunting influence of the forest. Eldermoor, once a haven of tranquility, descended into a palpable unease as the Deer Woman's presence loomed over the town. Shadows danced on the outskirts of vision, and the air hummed with an unsettling energy. The townspeople whispered of Gabriel's descent into madness and the eerie paintings that seemed to foretell a looming tragedy. As the curse tightened its grip on Gabriel, Isolde's influence seeped into every corner of Eldermoor. The townspeople, plagued by nightmares and a sense of impending doom, found solace only in the daylight when the Deer Woman's powers waned. One fateful night, as a blood-red moon cast an ominous glow over Eldermoor, the veil between the living and the supernatural thinned. Isolde, no longer confined to the shadows, walked among the townspeople, her presence sending a chill through the air. Gabriel, now a mere vessel for the Deer Woman's desires, followed in her wake, his eyes vacant and devoid of humanity. The townspeople, gripped by fear and desperation, sought to break the curse that bound them to Isolde's tragic tale. They delved into ancient texts and consulted wise elders, hoping to find a way to sever the ties that bound their fate to the Deer Woman. A sage from Eldermoor's past revealed a long-forgotten ritual buried within the annals of folklore, a ritual that required the sacrifice of a pure soul to appease the forest spirits and lift the curse that plagued the town. As the townspeople grappled with the moral dilemma of such a sacrifice, the haunting influence of the Deer Woman intensified. In a final act of desperation, the townspeople chose a sacrificial lamb, a young girl named Elowen. With tear-filled eyes and a heavy heart, Elowen embraced her fate, hoping to free Eldermoor from the clutches of the Deer Woman's curse. On the night of the ritual, the townspeople gathered in a clearing deep within the forest. The air crackled with supernatural energy as they chanted ancient incantations, invoking the spirits that held Isolde captive. Elowen, bound by ancient symbols etched into the forest floor, stood at the center of the ceremony. The moon cast its pallid glow upon the gathering, and Isolde emerged from the shadows, her eyes reflecting a mixture of sorrow and longing. The Deer Woman watched as Elowen's life force intertwined with the magic of the forest, the air pulsating with an ethereal energy. As the ritual reached its climax, the forest trembled, and a spectral wind whispered through the trees. Isolde's form wavered, caught between the realm of the living and the afterlife. In a moment of surreal stillness, the curse began to unravel, the tendrils of Isolde's influence retreating into the heart of the woods. Elowen, now freed from her ethereal shackles, collapsed to the forest floor, gasping for breath. The townspeople, haunted by the weight of their actions, witnessed the Deer Woman's visage fading into the shadows, her mournful cries echoing through the night. Eldermoor, released from the grip of the Deer Woman's curse, stood on the precipice of a new dawn. The townspeople, scarred by the harrowing events, vowed to protect the ancient woods that concealed the secrets of their dark past. The legend of the Deer Woman became a cautionary tale, a reminder of the delicate balance between the natural world and the supernatural forces that lurked within the shadows. As Eldermoor healed, the haunting whispers of the Deer Woman became a distant memory, but the legend endured in the hearts of those who dared to venture into the enigmatic woods. The tale of Isolde and the cursed town of Eldermoor became a chilling reminder that some legends, once awakened, could leave an indelible mark on the fabric of reality, forever weaving the threads of fear and fascination into the tapestry of the unknown. Story 3. Whispers in the Silverwood. In the heart of the ancient Silverwood forest, where the shadows danced with an ethereal grace, there stood the forgotten village of Ravenshade. The air hung heavy with the secrets of the past, and the moonlit path that wound through the village seemed to lead into the very heart of the unknown. It was here, in the depths of Silverwood, that the haunting legend of the Deer Woman unfolded. The tale began with a woman named Seraphina, whose beauty was rumored to be a gift from the forest itself. Seraphina had long, flowing hair as black as midnight, and her eyes shone with an otherworldly wisdom. But it was her connection to the deer that roamed the Silverwood that stirred unease among the villagers. One moonlit night, as the village slept under the watchful eyes of ancient oaks, Seraphina disappeared into the shadows of the forest. Whispers of a forbidden love affair or a pact with the spirits of the woods fueled the villagers' imagination, and fear nestled in the hearts of Ravenshade's inhabitants. A young journalist named Evelyn, drawn by the allure of the unsolved mystery, arrived in Ravenshade. Armed with a camera and an insatiable curiosity, she set out to uncover the truth behind the legend of the Deer Woman. The villagers, hesitant but eager to share their stories, warned Evelyn of the dangers that lurked within the Silverwood. Undeterred, Evelyn ventured into the ancient forest as twilight embraced the trees with a silver glow. The air was thick with the scent of pine and an unspoken magic that seemed to seep from the very roots of the ancient trees. Evelyn's footsteps echoed through the silent woods, and the only sounds were the rustling leaves beneath her feet. As Evelyn delved deeper into the Silverwood, an enchanting melody drifted through the air, a haunting lullaby that seemed to beckon her forward. The moon cast long, eerie shadows that danced among the trees, and the forest seemed to come alive with a spectral energy. The melody led Evelyn to a moonlit clearing where the ghostly figure of Seraphina emerged from the shadows. Antlers adorned her head, and her eyes gleamed with a mixture of sorrow and longing. The deer of the forest, drawn by an invisible force, gathered around her, their eyes reflecting the mysterious light of the moon. In a voice as soft as the wind and as haunting as the night, Seraphina spoke of love lost, betrayal, and a curse that bound her to the Silverwood. The forest itself, it seemed, was alive with ancient magic that cradled Seraphina in its spectral arms. Evelyn, entranced by the story unfolding before her, felt a chill in the air as the boundaries between reality and the supernatural blurred. Seraphina's tale echoed through the ages, weaving a tapestry of sorrow and despair that resonated with the very soul of the Silverwood. As the night deepened, Evelyn found herself caught in the spectral embrace of the Dear Woman's enchantment. The forest, once a sanctuary, transformed into a labyrinth of twisted trees and shifting shadows. The moon, now obscured by ominous clouds, cast an unsettling pallor over the Silverwood. Seraphina, her eyes filled with a forlorn intensity, guided Evelyn through the labyrinth of the forest. The trees whispered secrets, and the ground beneath them seemed to pulse with an ancient heartbeat. Evelyn's camera captured glimpses of ghostly figures among the trees, their faces twisted in expressions of eternal sorrow. In the heart of the Silverwood, Evelyn stumbled upon an ancient shrine, adorned with symbols that spoke of a pact with the spirits of the forest. The air crackled with an unseen force as Seraphina, now more a spirit than a woman, revealed the truth of her tragic fate. Long ago, the villagers of Ravenshade, driven by fear and superstition, had betrayed Seraphina. In their desperation to protect themselves from the supposed curse, they had bound her to the Silverwood, forever condemning her to roam the forest as the Dear Woman. Evelyn, now entangled in the web of the Dear Woman's curse, felt the weight of the ancient pact pressing upon her. The forest seemed to close in around her, the very trees whispering accusations and lamentations. The spectral deer circled, their eyes reflecting the anguish of Seraphina's eternal torment. As the night reached its darkest hour, the moon shone through a break in the clouds, casting an otherworldly glow upon the shrine. Evelyn, her senses heightened by the supernatural energy of the Silverwood, realized that the only way to break the curse was to confront the villagers' sins and release Seraphina from her spectral chains. Guided by an unseen force, Evelyn returned to Ravenshade, determined to unveil the truth hidden in the shadows of the past. The villagers, caught in the grip of their own guilt, revealed the harrowing tale of Seraphina's betrayal. The ancient shrine, they confessed, held the key to lifting the curse. With a sense of grim determination, Evelyn and a handful of villagers ventured back into the Silverwood. The air grew colder, and the forest seemed to echo with the anguished cries of Seraphina. The shrine, now bathed in moonlight, pulsed with an ominous energy. In a solemn ritual, the villagers recited ancient incantations, their voices intermingling with the haunting melody that echoed through the Silverwood. The very essence of their confessions seeped into the earth, a plea for forgiveness that resonated with the spirits of the forest. As the last words of the incantation faded into the night, the Silverwood fell silent. The ghostly figures that had haunted the shadows dissipated like morning mist, and the spectral deer vanished into the depths of the ancient trees. The air, once heavy with sorrow, now seemed to breathe with a newfound tranquility. In the clearing, Evelyn witnessed a spectral figure emerging from the shadows. It was Seraphina, her antlers now bathed in a gentle moonlight. Her eyes, no longer filled with sorrow, held a glimmer of gratitude. With a final ethereal whisper, she vanished into the Silverwood, leaving behind an air of quiet peace. Ravenshade, now freed from the grip of the Dear Woman's curse, woke to a new dawn. The villagers, forever changed by the events that transpired in the Silverwood, vowed to honor the ancient forest and its secrets. The legend of the Dear Woman became a cautionary tale, a reminder that the sins of the past could cast a long shadow over the present. As Evelyn left Ravenshade, the moonlit path seemed to beckon her toward new horizons. The whispers of the Silverwood lingered in her memories, a haunting melody that resonated with the mysteries of the ancient forest. The tale of Seraphina and the Dear Woman became a part of her, a story that transcended the boundaries of time and left an indelible mark on the tapestry of the supernatural. And so, the Silverwood kept its secrets, and the legend of the Dear Woman lived on, carried by the wind through the ancient trees and whispered among the shadows. The moon continued to cast its silvery glow over the heart of the forest, where the spirits of the past danced in eternal twilight. Forever entwined, with the enigmatic magic of the silverwood.